Stand up, Vanguard.
I'll draw. I'll discard this goat so I can ride Sheriff, and then energy generator. Pass turn.
I'll stand and draw. I'll discard a critical trigger in order to ride Kiyomitsu Sentinel. Since I went second, I'll draw one card. Then I'll also get an energy generator. And since I went second, I'll get 3 energy. I'll play a copy of Forge from my hand. I'll then activate it, I'll rest it, choose a card from my drop that does not have heal or over trigger from among it, put it on the bottom of my deck. Then I reveal the top cards of my deck until I see normal units equal to the number of Forge that I have in my order zone. I can then call that unit as rest. Then, since it's equal or less than grade to my Vanguard, I can stand that unit. I will then shuffle my deck. With that, I'll go to battle and I'll attack your Vanguard for 16.
No guard.
Drive check, front trigger. My front row gets plus 10k power.
Damn. Critical trigger. 10k to my Vanguard.
Pass turn.
And draw. And then energy 3. I'll discard the energy cycler so I can ride Lattice. And then the skill of the energy cycler, when it's discarded to ride, I can energy blast 3 to draw 1. So then I'll use Sheriff's skill, look at top 3. I'm gonna play 1 card, and then put the other 2 at the bottom of my deck. So I'll call Alpin. Then I'll call the Lion. I'll counterblast, Soul Blast 1. I can bring a unit, a grade 3 or less, back to my field, so I will choose this shooter. So I'll swing with the Lion to your Vanguard. It gets 5k for every 2 grades of my Vanguard, so it'll just get plus 5.
No guard. Damage check, front trigger. My front row gets an additional 10k power.
I'll swing for 10 to your Vanguard.
No guard.
Check. Pass turn.
I'll stand and draw. I'll discard a front trigger in order to ride Kiyomitsu Toko. Skill of the grade 1. I look at the top card of my deck and I can either put it to soul or leave it on top. I'll leave it on top. I use the skill of my order. I'll take this front trigger and put it on the bottom of my deck. Then I will reveal cards from the top of my deck till I see normal unit. I'll call this normal unit out. The rest will go back into my deck and I'll shuffle. Since its grade is less than or equal to my Vanguard's grade, I can call it standing. I'll attack your Vanguard for 10.
I'll use the Blitz order. It gives my Vanguard plus 5, and I can also bounce a unit back to my hand.
I'll attack your Vanguard for 18 with my Vanguard.
No guard.
Drive check, no trigger.
Damage.
At the end of the battle that my rearguard boosted, I can counter blast 1, put this unit into soul, draw 1 card, and give one of my units 2k power. I'll pass turn.
I'll stand and draw. And then energy 3. I'll discard the energy cycler so I can ride Magnolia. From the energy cycler skill, energy blast 3 to draw 1. I'll call Goat in the back row. I'll swing with the Lion, since the Lion gets plus 5 for every 2 grades, so it'll just get plus 5, and that's swinging for 15 to your Vanguard.
I'll guard for 25.
Swing for 13.
No guard.
First check. Second check.
Damage check. Draw trigger. I'll draw 1 card. my Vanguard gets plus 10k power.
Then at the end of the battle, I'll counterblast 1. This goat can attack from the back row. It gets plus 5 from Magnolia skill, but it also gets plus 10 for being in the back row. Next, Alpin will swing. Its skill, it gets plus 5 for every grade 2 or higher on my board, including itself. So this is going to be 5, 10. So it's swinging for 20 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage check. No trigger.
Then the goat for 25.
I'll guard.
Then at the end of the battle, the goat retires itself, and I draw 1. Pass turn.
I'll stand. Energy charge 3 and draw 1. I'll discard in order to ride Kashu Kiyomitsu Kiwame Sento. The skill of my grade 2, I can search my deck for a card with a specific name here, and then I can add it to my hand and shuffle my deck. I'll add Yasuda to my hand. I'll call a Yasuda Kiwame from my hand. When this is placed, I can counterblast 1. Look at the top 7 cards of my deck. From among them, I can choose 1 card with the same name as my Vanguard and add it to my hand. Then I shuffle my deck. I'll add Kiyomitsu to my hand. I'll remember to stand my order and then activate its effect this turn in order to put back this critical trigger onto the bottom of my deck. I then reveal normal units from the top of my deck. I will then call this grade 1 here. Then I will shuffle my deck. I'll use the skill of the energy generator. I'll energy blast 7 in order to draw 1 card. I'll go to combat. I'll take my Vanguard and attack yours for 13, Twin Drive.
2 to pass.
First check, critical trigger. I'll give 10k power to my Yasuda, as well as the additional critical. Second check, heal trigger. I do heal 1 card. I'll give 10k power to my Vanguard. At the end of the battle, as my Vanguard attacks, I can discard 1 card from my hand and take a card with the same name as my Vanguard, either from rear or from hand, and put it into soul, in order to stand my Vanguard with -1 drive. Yasuda's skill, whenever my Vanguard restands, he gets an additional 10k power. I'll attack your Vanguard again for 23, 1 drive.
No guard.
Drive check, heal trigger. I do heal again. And I'll give 10k power to my rear guard.
Damage check over trigger. I'll draw 1 and give 100 million to my Vanguard.
I'll attack your Alpin for 32 damage.
No guard.
Then I'll attack your Lion for 28.
No guard.
I'll pass turn.
I'll stand and draw. Energy 3. And I'll ride Magnolia Elder. When there's a goat in my drop and there's no goat in soul, I can put this goat into soul and it'll give my Vanguard +5. Then I'll use the skill of Magnolia Elder to pull a card out from my soul to field. So I'll pull this goat out. And since there's no goat in my soul again, I will put this goat into my soul and it gets another +5. I'll call Sea Strike Dragon. Since I have the grade 4 out already, I can soul blast out 1. And then I can put a grade 2 or higher from my drop to my hand. I'll call Alpin, and I'll call another goat. With Magnolia Elder skill, all my rearguard units get 5k. Since the goat is in the back row, it gets another 10k, so this is going to be +15 for both goats. And then Alpin gets +5 for every grade 2 or higher, so it'll also get another +10k. So I'll swing 18 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage check. No trigger.
I'll swing with my Vanguard, 23 to your Vanguard.
No guard.
First check. Second check. Third check. No trigger.
Damage check. Draw trigger. I'll draw 1 card. My Vanguard gets plus 10k power.
I'll swing for 25.
I'll guard for 28.
Swing for 25.
I'll intercept for 28.
And then 25 to your rear guard.
No guard.
Then at the end of the battle, this goat discards itself and I draw 1. Pass turn.
I'll stand and draw. And then I'll get 3 energy. I'll Persona Ride. I'll draw 1 card. And my front row gets plus 10k power. I'll call, and call. I'll use the skill of my order. I'll put a front trigger on the bottom of my deck. Then I will reveal the top card of my deck. So I see a normal unit. I'll call it and shuffle my deck. I'll go to battle. I'll attack your Vanguard for 23, Twin Drive.
I'll PG.
First check, no trigger. Second check, front trigger. My front row gets an additional 10k power. At the end of the battle at my Vanguard attack, since I Persona Ride, I can alternatively pay the cost with Counterblast 1 to restand it. I'll attack your Vanguard again with 1 less drive. I'll use the skill of my rearguard. I can Soul Blast 1 in order to have my Vanguard get an additional 5k power.
No guard.
Check, no trigger.
Damage.
Then at the end of the battle, since I have 2 or more Kiyomitsus that are grade 3 in my soul, I can Counterblast 1 again in order to restand my Vanguard 1 more time with another minus drive. We will lose the 5k as it was until the end of battle, but I'll activate the skill of my rearguard where if it boosted, I can retire it and countercharge 1 using its Shinkan Hisatsu. I'll attack your Vanguard 1 last time for 33, no drives.
I'll use the grade 3 to guard. Since I have the grade 4 Magnolia, this gets plus 15. And then I'll also guard with a heal trigger, so this is going to be 43.
I'll attack your Vanguard, boosted. My unit, if I'm attacking a grade 3 or greater, he gets an additional 10k power after I Soul Blast 1. So this is going to be 48 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage.
At the end of the battle that it attacked this way, my rearguard retires and I draw 1 card. I will then attack again using the same thing to Soul Blast 1 and get an additional 10k power and attack your Vanguard for 48.
No guard. Damage.
My rearguard will then retire and I will draw 1 card. I'll pass turn.
I'll stand and draw. I'll energy 3. I'll ride Magnolia Elder. Skill of the goat. It goes into the soul, and I'll use Elder's skill to pull it out from the soul. And since there's no goat in the soul, another one will go in, and it gives it another plus 5. So now I'm at plus 10. I'll move Alpin up, and I'll call Gnosula. And from Magnolia Elder's skill, all my units get plus 5. I'll swing with Magnolia Elder, so this is going to be 23 to your Vanguard.
I'll use a Perfect Guard, and from my hand I will discard this unit.
First check, critical trigger. I'll give the power here to Gnosula, and I'll give the critical to this goat here. Second check, inlet pulse, and then third check, draw trigger. I draw 1, and I give the power to Gnosula. Then I'll swing with Gnosula. This is going to be 35 to your Vanguard. I'll use its skill to counterblast 1, and I'll give the 35 to this goat here.
I'll guard for 38.
I'll swing for 18.
No guard. Damage check. Do trigger. I don't heal, but my Vanguard gets plus 10k power.
This is gonna be 30 to your Vanguard.
I'll guard for 38.
25 to your Vanguard.
I'll guard for 28 again.
At the end of the battle, this discards itself and I draw 1. And then last, I will swing for 60 and a crit.
I'll guard using 3 triggers, including a front.
Pass turn.
I'll stand, draw, and get 3 energy. I'll Persona Ride. I'll draw 1, and my front row gets plus 10k power. I'll play another copy of Forge from my hand. Then I'll activate its skill. I'll take a card other than a heal from my drop and put it on the bottom of my deck. I'll take a critical trigger. Then I reveal until I see the equal number of normal units to the number of forges I have. I'll take one of them and call it. Then I'll put the rest on the bottom of my deck and shuffle. I'll Energy Blast 7 in order to draw 1. I'll call my Kunagi, and then I'll call Yasuda. I will not counterblast for its skill. I'll go to battle. I'll take my Vanguard and I'll attack yours for 23. Twin Drive.
LPG.
First check. Second check. No trigger. Since I Persona Mode this turn, I can pay the cost with Counterblast 1 in order to restand my Vanguard. My Yasuda gets an additional 10k power. I'll attack your Vanguard again. This time boosting for 31. 1 drive.
This is 28. 33. And I'll use the skill of the Energy Cycler to Soul Energy Blast 3 and draw 1.
Check. No trigger. Then I'll use the skill of my Vanguard. I'll Counterblast 1. Since I have 2 grade 3s in my soul with the same name, he will stand 1 more time with no drives. I'll use the skill of my grade 1 at the end of the battle that it boosts. I can put it into soul, Counterblast 1 in order to draw 1 and give one of my units an additional 10k power. I'll attack your Vanguard one last time for 25.
This is 23. And 28, and then I'll Energy Blast 3 to draw 1.
Then I'll attack with my Kunagi boosted. I'll use his skill, I'll Soul Blast 1 in order to countercharge 1, and he gets an additional 5k power thanks to his Shinkan Hitsatsu. So he'll attack your Vanguard for 33.
I'll guard. This is going to be 28. 33, 38.
At the end of the battle, my unit will use his Shinkan Hitsatsu, he will retire, and I'll countercharge 1. Then I'll attack your Vanguard for 38.
I'll use Elementaria, and I'll discard this lion.
I'll end my turn.
I'll stand and draw. Energy 3. I'll ride Magnolia Elder. Just checking for the goat. I'll use the skill to pull this goat out since there's no goat in my soul. I can put a goat into my soul and Magnolia Elder will get +5. And then I'll call this lion. I'll Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. The lion lets me bring back 1 card for every 2 grades of my Vanguard, so I can bring back 2 cards from my drop to the field. I'll bring back Alpin and Gnosula. And sorry, I'll switch these 2. I'll swing with Magnolia Elder for 18 to your Vanguard.
I'll use Elementary as Sanctitude. Since your Vanguard has triple drive, I do not have to discard for the cost.
First check. Second check, critical trigger. I'll give the power to Gnosula and the crit to this goat. Third check, no trigger. I'll swing with Alpin. This is going to be 30 to your Vanguard.
No guard. Damage check. No trigger.
At the end of the battle, I'll use Alpin's skill to bind itself. And then I can countercharge and soul charge 1. I'll swing with Gnosula. This is going to be 25 to your Vanguard. And then I'll use its skill to counterblast and give this Gnosula 25.
I'll intercept. Guard from my hand. With a total of 28.
I'll swing with this lion. This is going to be 25 to your Vanguard.
I'll guard with my overtrigger for 63.
Then I'll swing with this Gnosula. It's going to be 40 to your Vanguard. And I'll use the skill to counterblast 40 to this goat.
I'll perfect guard, discarding Forge.
And then I'll swing. This is going to be 40, 55, 65 and a crit.
No guard. Damage check. No trigger.